This video demonstrates the use of the FTE class adjunct salary electronic personnel action form, or EPAF for short. Please note this EPAF is only for FT salaried adjuncts who are already active in PE EMPL. It cannot be used for FT hourly adjuncts, FWE class adjuncts, or for brand new hires. You should have a signed appointment letter completed prior to using this EPAF. You should also consult the instruction document titled Submitting an Adjunct FT Salary Job EPAF in UA Online for step-by-step instructions and screenshots prior to using this EPAF. To begin, log into UA Online and from the main menu, select Employee Upgraded. Under My Activities, select Electronic Personnel Action Forms. Select New EPAF and enter the ID of the employee. This is a test environment, so the ID number here looks different than the normal UA ID number. For the query date, you'll want to enter the effective date for the start of the assignment, which is usually the beginning of a pay period. You can also consult the semester assignment dates and deadlines document that is maintained by UA HR personnel to determine what effective date should be used in the query date field of the EPAF. For the approval category, we want to select the Adjunct FT Salary Job EPAF and click Go. Enter the PCN number for the assignment, as well as the suffix number. The suffix will be 00 if this is the first assignment in this PCN, or increase the last used suffix for this PCN by 1. So in this case, our adjunct had a suffix of 05 last semester, so we'll use 06. Click Select and Go. You can scroll down to the fields for the EPAF. And the very first field is not enterable. It just indicates the employee FTE, which is, or E-class, which is FT, and this should remain blank. D level and time keep, we can see what's being pulled in from PA EMPL. For the new assignment, if there's no change to the D level or time keep location, these two fields may remain blank. If the assignment is in a new D level or time keep location, that change can be made here and these fields can be filled in. The final one here, employee status, is also not enterable, so we'll skip that one. The 3 date fields are also not enterable, and they default from the query date that was used in the previous screen. If you've selected the wrong query date for the start of the assignment, you can back out of the EPAF and restart it and enter a new query date so that these 3 dates default in correctly. The next field is for FTE. You want to update this field to show the number of prior semesters taught. In this example, the adjunct has taught 4 previous semesters, so their FTE should be 0.004. The hours per pay field refers to the number of credits of the course being taught. So it defaults in with 1, so we'll update that to 3 since this is a 3-credit course. The next field refers to the number of ACA hours and is simply calculated by multiplying the number of credits, which in this case is 3, by 5, and that gives us 15 hours for the ACA field. Salary group defaults in and should be left as is. Salary grade also defaults in was CR_10, which refers to the 10 pay periods in a normal semester length course. This can be updated if the course is shorter and being taught over fewer pay periods. STEP defaults in was 0. However, this should be updated to the adjuncts STEP. So in this case, this is step 1 adjunct, and they're being paid from the normal salary schedule rate. If this adjunct were to be paid at a higher rate, the step would be changed to 0, and the salary grade would also need to be changed to 00_CV to note that it's a variable payment for this credit course. We would change this to 0. And then we would need to calculate the rate based on the total amount being paid to the adjunct. So for example, if they were to be paid $5,000 for the semester, you would divide that by the number of pay periods, which in this case is 10, which would give you 500 for biweekly. Divide the biweekly by the number of credits to fill in your rate of pay. And as you can see, this field does accommodate up to 6 decimal places. So in this example, our adjunct is being paid on scale, so I will revert back to what was defaulted in. Put in their normal step. And we'll leave the rate blank as this EPAF will calculate the rate for us. The next 2 fields should always match, number of pay periods and factors, and it defaults in at 10, which also matches our salary grade since this is a normal semester length class. However, these 2 fields, along with the salary grade, can be adjusted if the course is for fewer pay periods. For contract type, we can leave it as primary, which defaulted in if this is the first adjunct assignment, their primary assignment for the semester. If it happens to be their secondary assignment, because they already have an adjunct assignment in Banner, we can choose secondary. Time keep location, we'll enter that. T660 for this example. The next 3 fields, again, are not enterable and default in with the coding that's needed for this EPAF. The next section is for the funding information, and effective date should match the query date. So in this instance, 12/29/24. The fund has defaulted in with a pooled statewide fund, and you must update this to your department's fund and org information for this particular assignment. If you submit this EPAF without updating the funding information, the EPAF will be returned to you by personnel for correction. There are also additional rows here in case the assignment's being funded by multiple fund and orgs. These rows can be filled in accordingly with the fund, org, and the relevant percentage that should go to each funding level. The next section is for our earnings codes. The effective date should match the query date that we used earlier. So 12/29/2024. Earnings code is 035. The hours or units field is for the number of credits for the course. For the next row, again, we'll use the query date that we used earlier, and we'll select the 091 earnings code to indicate the ACA work hours, which again, we calculated earlier and is 15 for a 3 credit course. For the next section, this EPAF will also insert a termination record to stop the assignment. So the job effective date for terminating the assignment, in this case for the spring semester, is 5/17/2025. You can consult consult the semester dates and deadlines document to help determine what effective date you should use for ending the assignment. Then again, this is for a normal semester length assignment. If your course ends earlier, then you'd use the relevant end of pay period date that covers the end of that assignment. The next field is not enterable and defaults in. Job change reason should always be left at term. So the job change reason reflects that this is a termination record. Next, we're moving on to the routing queue for approvals and application into Banner. If you have set up your NTR route in Banner prior to doing this ePath, you can skip this section and the ePath will route according to what you have set up in NTR route. If you'd like to change your routing or you forgot to set up NTR route, you can set it up here. And you can use a spyglass to search for a person to approve in your department. You enter their name, click go, and it will come back with matching names. We'll select the name we want to use for our department approver, and then click the select button, and it will fill in the username for you. The HR tech, please reference the NTR route reference document so you are entering the correct NTR route person, or I'm sorry, the correct HR tech person here. In this case, in consulting the NTR route document. And if this were a grant-funded assignment, I could also enter a grant level approver here and search for their name using the spyglass as well. Please note that even though I'm adding a grant approver at the end of this list, when this is routed, it will route according to the numerical value and not according to the list you see here. So it will go to the department approver first, and then the grants person, and then HR tech, and so on. And finally, we come to the comment box. This is to enter the course information for reference later on and for matching to the appointment letter. This comment box should also be used if you are paying below scale. So if this is a low enrolled course and the department wants to pay the $120 per student per credit rate, that should be noted here and the calculation should be written out for personnel to see so they can confirm the reasoning for the low payment. It's also recommended that if you're paying above scale, you can note what the total salary is as well as the biweekly. So earlier we used an example of $5,000 for the class, which is above scale. You could note the total salary of $5,000 in this comment box, as well as a biweekly of $500. And again, this would assist your department approver as well as personnel in matching to the appointment letter. We'll click save. And it said my change is saved successfully. So we will click submit. And my transaction was successfully submitted. If there were typos or some other errors such as dates, you would get a notice up here that there were errors that need correction. And scrolling down, you would see a table listing the errors, directing you to the parts of the ePath that need to be corrected. You can correct the errors, click save, and click submit again to see if the errors go away. Please remember, in addition to this video, it's recommended that you refer to the ePath instructions document for step-by-step instructions with screenshots. Thank you.